Hi, okay. I know I'm sure we've all seen the Pope picture, and I'm actually like a day or two late with it, but that Pope picture is actually one of the most horrifying things I have ever come across because I am someone who I believe has pretty decent media literacy, and like this got me. Obviously, I didn't look too close because it didn't seem like it was innately malicious or hostile, and there isn't like that immediate like incendiary, inflammatory reason to share that. It was just like, oh, tee hee hee, like man, he's dripped out. And like with the pandemic, because I'm still in the United States and people don't seem to be doing anything about it, I still am in that like level of like there is no suspension of disbelief as to the things that people would do. And I'm like, also he's the Pope, he already rides around in a um vehicle that can't be penetrated, so there's also that like expectation of like I don't really know what they would do for his comfort and safety. Wearing a puffer coat that was white doesn't seem far past it because I don't think it's sacrilegious to wear like a puffer coat. But I know that you normally do see a religious figure or a figurehead in white. So I was like, okay, that's something that he would do. If it is cold, which I doubt it's cold up northeast over there. I don't really know the weather over there, but I was like, it doesn't seem like it'd be harmful. I wouldn't put it past them to put him in a white puffer coat. I'm like, maybe he's wearing the robes under, maybe he's wearing he was still wearing the hat in the picture. It didn't seem like something that was like too crazy or that wasn't spread to be hostile. It was just like a cool picture. Except that picture wasn't real, which is freaking terrifying to me. Cause I'm like, you can, there, I know, obviously we know technology is gonna get better and AI seems like it is just getting better by itself progressively. That was like fine. We understood that. You filter in enough pictures and it's gonna get better. Like with before it was like Photoshop, or like with hands, they would crop it out so you could tell that like, oh hey, it's kind of weird how you didn't put their hands in that picture. And like with when it was supposed to be made like hyper realistic art or just art in general, like digital art or anything, even if it was supposed to be made like to look like real people, they would crop out the hands. And that was like kind of the tell before that it's like, oh, that isn't real, this is made in AI. Unfortunately, hands are getting better, eyes are getting less glossed over, eyes are making like getting to look a bit more real, and that's getting scary. Obviously we've seen also the voice clips of like Joe Biden and Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro playing Minecraft together, which is like can be fun. But there was also that press conference video of Joe Biden that was like at a distance enough, and they had him saying capitalism is a disease or capitalism is bad or something like along those lines, and then everyone stood up and cheered, and it sounded close enough to his voice where like someone who doesn't have technological literacy, like an older person would. And like obviously there's has to be like that suspension of disbelief of like believing that a political figurehead would actually say something right for once and would acknowledge that capitalism is a plague to society and is really destroying us as people. But like throwing that aside, like a right winger person who does not have that suspension of disbelief would believe that. Obviously, not obviously, but like they probably would. And older people who don't have technological literacy and know the technological capabilities of these kinds of things would also probably immediately believe that. And unfortunately, the thing is with these kinds of reactionary and incitive videos, pictures, posts, like news articles, it people always react to the first thing, not the final concrete definitive thing. So if they saw this video, they'd be like, "Oh, Joe Biden said," and they wouldn't stay for when the video or article gets fact checked under. Like the immediate thing, the first time they see it, it's just going to be an immediate like this is the first thing I heard. No one comes back for the clarity of it, which is why it's so much easier to garner clicks with the just making up bullshit at the beginning and then just being like, oh, okay, like I can retract it literally at any time later. And the people who cared enough will find out and know that it's like not true, and those people will probably eventually come to clarify all of it amongst people when they bring it up with anybody. But that's also there's still some cracks that people fall through, and that these people will continue to believe these things. And people who don't even know, like I don't know, like there's older people who have that unawareness of how technology and social media works, I guess. There's like technological literacy that is missing in that sense, and there's also like the technological aspect is with artificial intelligence and voice modifications and all these things. Like if you told them that, they'd probably be like, that doesn't sound like people can do that. That doesn't sound real. Sure, of course to you it sounds like that, but it is, unfortunately. And I have seen more than enough videos of random people playing Minecraft that would never play Minecraft, or people saying things that they would never would say, or artists singing, like Kanye West singing lyrics or songs that he would never sing. So it doesn't sound impossible, but it is. So I'm like, there's technological unawareness of how far some of these things are. So like, I mean, even with Photoshop, if you've seen some people, like some older people are like, oh my gosh, how'd that happen? Or like, why did that happen? To like a really crudely kind of like 480 megapixels or 480 megs or less pixels or less. And they're like, oh, how'd that happen? Like, and it's just a cat photoshopped wearing a sombrero. Like, it's not like they didn't actually put the hat on him, you know? Like there's some things that they just don't understand aren't real. And then like with video and like with video, they're already kind of struggling. With audio, like they're not gonna leave that. If it's far enough, like with security footage, you can literally just make anything happen. There's people on TikTok who are just random people who I've seen can video edit and say they prefer editing videos with lower pixel resolutions because you don't have to merge the special effects to be so like sly or to immerse enough to look close to reality and to look possible. So that's scary. So when it's like if it was say security footage, people can just make things happen and just make it look like somebody else. I mean, there was a video, I don't know on Twitter if people were honest about it or if it was just an in joke because the Pope picture had come out a little bit ago, but it was like Harry Styles and some girl making out somewhere, and it was like far enough to where it could seem like someone was recording it, and like it was far enough where you couldn't even tell if that was Harry Styles or someone, you were just kind of taking people's word for it. But then if it was just even a little closer, people could modify the video to make it look like these people. Because I'm like, yeah, I've seen people deep fake stuff on like videos, pretty high res videos, and good solution, close enough to look like what it isn't, that were like perverse. And that's scary. Because I'm like, I mean, for me, I'm just some guy. So I'm like, it'd be scarier if someone did it to me because I'm like, these are things that I wouldn't do. And I really can't factually disprove that someone did this. So if anyone had any actual hostility and malice towards me, that like if they were like really that hostile and had enough technological understanding, they could probably ruin my life. Because I'm like, you can fake text, I can fake text, and I don't even like not without even doing Photoshop. I could probably doctor and fake a screenshot and text fairly easy, which is scary. But that's just me. I'm like, I don't even have enough technological literacy to manipulate video or audio. I'm sure I probably, if I extended into it, I could find out how to do it and it wouldn't be too hard, which is also scary. Because I'm like, if someone held enough of a grudge against me or somebody else, they could probably ruin that someone's life very easy, especially if someone who from my position, which it makes it a little scarier because I'm like, we only think in the grand scheme of like, say a celebrity or like a YouTuber or something. But I'm like, it's even scarier for the smaller person because it's a lot harder to disprove because I'm like, I don't go out, I don't talk to people, I don't have too much of a digital footprint as these people who could probably disprove like, hey, this person actually wasn't here on that date or wasn't like texting this person at this time, or actually these two YouTubers have never met. That's like a little more trackable because there's more eyes on it. But for me, you could just lie and be like, oh my gosh, I saw this guy at like Texas robbing this store, and like you could like just document it just enough from a distance, like a security cam footage, and make it look like me, or just like fake that I was in that location somehow. I don't even know the extent of how they could do that, but that's scary too because I don't know how someone could do that. With the photo of the Pope, like it wasn't bad or malicious or scary, but like if it was something that like, you know, people make Photoshop of, like Joe Biden and like freaking um Hillary Clinton killing babies, and like people go crazy about it and like they still believe it. So like there's also that like level of like right wingers are just gonna run with it no matter what. Like let's start there. Right wingers, they're kind of out of the question because we kind of know they're gonna fall for it, or they're gonna choose what they want to see and hear as they do anyways already. So we'll start there. That's scary. They're already scary. We'll start like that's obviously kind of already implied. But like just older people who don't have technological literacy, or people who don't look too far into it, like I didn't with the Pope. That's bad because I'm like, the Pope one wasn't harmful, but it still is scary that I fell for it and I didn't double take. And just because it looked realistic enough on the first glance, like I believed it. Luckily, I'm on on Twitter enough to have seen it come back and be like, hey, this is AI, this wasn't real. But that's scary that I did fall for it because I'm like, most of the time you can tell if like the hands aren't in it or anything, or like the eyes look a little glossy, or like sometimes things merge with the background, but it's getting a lot more accurate to where like that is scary. And that's also, to me, I've only kind of really been aware of like the AI and how people were using it for art more so since like November, December, and it's like April. So like really, since, like we could just start with saying that 2023 was the beginning of like this resurgence and influx of like people using AI in voice, art, and picture. So it's like scary to see how far and quickly it's progressed. Because I'm like, now you can't really look at the hands because people used to crop them out on purpose so that you would know, so they wouldn't know it was AI to try to take credit for artwork that they made. I saw someone post a little bit ago that they did AI of themselves drawing art. Luckily the hands aren't still fully there, so you could see that they're nubs and like it looked like a really malformed and wrong. So it wasn't actually him drawing it, but it was pretty close to where like if you didn't look at the hands for starters, but eventually you know it's gonna catch up, but you wouldn't be able to tell that it was fake. So he tried to prove this because of the grift, like this capitalistic mindset that people have is why it's so scary, because any people would do anything for money. like doctor fake videos of people probably doing perverse things or saying perverse things or singing a song for somebody. Like, you know how people have cameos where like they have someone, they pay someone to say these things to like a lover or loved somebody, like a loved person, have them wish them a happy anniversary. They're like, oh my gosh, my dad loves Snoop Dogg. I'm gonna pay him $40 for him to say, oh yo, happy birthday, Doug. Like, I hear you're really cool. Your son loves you. I hope you have a great birthday. Stuff like that. But you don't have to do that anymore because people can just pull Kanye's voice or Joe Biden's voice or Joe Rogan's voice and have them say anything to somebody. And then you could probably doctor a video close enough to where it looks like he's saying that. Just like if it's like low res enough, they could just make him say whatever they want. So I'm like, in that capitalistic sense, these people are just going to use all these things. Like these people who are more ambitious than me to just use these things for money. Because that's why that guy made that video or that picture of him drawing the things that he draws, because he was trying to prove and look like he's a good artist, but he still isn't. He's just a liar. So he went out of his way to doctor himself drawing doctored art. Like that's crazy. And like with video, audio, and art and photos, people are just gonna make whatever. People are just gonna use that until who knows when. And legislation doesn't catch up with anything enough because things are bad now. The things should have been fixed are bad now, and they don't even understand TikTok. If you saw that guy on that the freaking trial that they're having with that TikTok CEO or whatever, like these people clearly do not understand the internet. And like I know that they had questions that maybe I'm giving extending them too much grace by thinking that they actually had any sound or logical questions that they were trying to ask. Like when they were like, "Oh, do you have to get on the Wi-Fi?" Or like, "Does it have access to Wi-Fi?" And it's like, yes, you have to log into Wi-Fi if you want to use the app, unless you just want to use your data. But these old people don't have enough cognitive awareness or don't even know how to ask the questions maybe, or don't also just have technological understanding to fix these things. So I'm like, considering we're at 4 months and it has already like escalated all the way to this level, it's scary to know how much further it's going to be by the end of the year, because now hands are getting closer, eyes are getting a little less glossed over, and the foreground and background are getting more distinct, and they're not being merged together because AI is picking up on it. AI is getting better in the digital artscape and also in the hyper realistic art space, as per the Pope in a freaking puffer jacket. There was no need for somebody to do that, but that is like a lesson that scares me because I fell for it. I fell for it. My whole friend group fell for it. Like at the first glance, eventually I had to come out and be like, it's AI, and like I was the one who was more aware, I guess, in my social circles, that was like I was more likely to detect if it was AI or not and like dig deeper into it to prove that it was AI or wasn't. Unfortunately, we all fell for it, and I did not know until later. And like when I did have to clarify to them later that it was AI, but I don't like if they hadn't come across that, how would they know? How like if on the first instinct and the first vision, most people that is what people see, that immediate one, and they don't come back to see it disproven. I could go back to them and just be like, hey, that wasn't real. And that's scary because one, not everyone's going to do that. And three, or two, again, people are going to fall through the cracks and they're just going to believe it for maybe the rest of their life. And that's scary because now it's not just a picture of a pope, it's audio, video. It could be of yourself, of your friends, or anything. Like people could leak videos or leak pictures and videos of you by just photoshopping your face onto somebody who, like, people can already do that now, but now with AI it could just look a lot better and more believable, and it can just ruin your life. That's horrifying. Oh my god. Like, oh my god. I don't even know how to end this. Like, I don't know what to say. That's scary. I don't, I like, obviously don't double check everything if it's not malicious or hostile, but like, just try to educate yourself on it, I guess.